Today we are going to go over a concept that I have only recently been learning more about, the dark plane. I was inspired to explore this concept after taking Vanna Abrahamian's class at a festival called Universal Flow Gathering. Many of the entrances to this plane were taught to me by her, so I have added some video links of her into the description if you are looking for more inspiration. During my tutorial on the dark side dragon pirouette, we briefly touched on the meaning behind the word dark. However, it is a much more specific concept than we had time to explain. When we speak about the dark plane or dark side, we are referring to the invisible wall of space behind us. Moves that take place in the dark plane happen when our rope is behind us, or when we have entered the move on our anchor side. Now that we have a better idea of what the dark plane is, we are going to spend the rest of this tutorial going over ways to enter it. We will end by showing a full sequence that includes an entrance to the dark plane and finishes with a dark overlord. Let us begin. We will start with a dark dragon entrance, since we basically already learned it during the dark side dragon pirouette. Because the dark dragon wrap happens in wheel plane, our entrance into the dark plane begins when our wrap enters on our anchor side. If we decide to let out all of our rope, we can see that it ends up completely behind us, which is why entering from our anchor side counts as entering the dark plane. Let's try this. We start by spinning the dart in wheel plane and implement a downward spin. We direct the rope so that it travels under our anchor armpit and over our lead shoulder. We can either catch the rope with our hand or allow it to land on our bicep. Although I do not usually let all of my rope out like this, it is an easy way to transition fully into the dark plane. Okay, that was our first entrance. The second method to enter the dark plane is to step over our rope with both feet. In order to do this, we will be using a similar technique as we did when learning the prodigal plays with ball foot shot. This time, instead of stepping over the rope with one leg, we are going to step over with both legs, starting with our anchor leg. Let's try this. We start in wheel plane and implement a downward spin. Now, we bring our hand near the outside of our anchor leg and let go as the rope travels under. We catch it near our inner thigh and continue to rotate it on a downward spin. Next, we repeat the same process, starting on the inside of our lead leg. We thread the rope under and catch it on the outside of our lead leg. Once we have finished these steps, we will notice that our rope is now positioned behind us, meaning that we have entered the dark plane. If we prefer to stall our rope out to one side, we can direct it there by casting it out with our hand or by pushing it out with our leg. Both of these options require us to pivot 90 degrees into wall plane. We can also direct the rope so that it lands on our bent lead arm, like this. Okay, that is the second entrance. My personal favorite way to enter the dark plane is through the means of this anchor-dominant grip. I love this entrance because I can go directly from it into an elbow shot, allowing my rope's trajectory to trace a powerful and straight line. I discovered this entrance recently, and I'm very excited to share it. Okay, let's break this down into two steps. During the first step, we implement this anchor-dominant grip by bunching up our rope so that it measures approximately the length between our hip and the ground. Now we start spinning towards our anchor side. This new grip might feel strange at first, so let's get used to it. Now we bring our hand back a little bit so that the dart is now rotating behind us, going the same direction. Okay, now we are going to pivot 180 degrees towards our lead side, while the dart is still rotating the same way, and stick our elbow out so that we can catch the rope on top of our lead bicep. Let's see that again. We pull our wrist under our armpit while pivoting. Sweet! Technically, we are already in the dark plane, since all of our rope is now behind us. During the second step, we pivot another 90 degrees in the same direction and execute a backwards elbow shot, which will keep the dart in the dark plane. Let's practice this a few times. We remember to pivot into wall plane at the end of our backwards elbow shot. Finally, we can combine the two steps. We implement our anchor dominant grip and spin the dart towards our anchor side. We transition the rotation behind us. We pull our wrist towards our armpit and pivot 180 degrees towards our lead side. We catch the rope on top of our bent lead arm. As we allow the rope to rotate once around our elbow, we are simultaneously pivoting into wheel plane. We finish our elbow shot by shooting the dart out and pivoting another 90 degrees back into wall plane, completing a full 360-degree turn during the whole sequence. Yay! That is the third entrance to the dark plane. Once we have mastered a few techniques to get into the dark plane, we can start playing around with ideas of what to do while in this position. The most common moves that I have seen used are overlord variations and pendulums. Here is a full dark plane sequence that includes a dark overlord. Once we feel ready and comfortable with our entrances, let's break it down into 3 steps. During the first step, we execute the second entrance to the dark plane. We step over our rope with both feet. We then allow the rope to land on our bent lead arm, like this. We make sure to have quite a bit of rope hanging off of our arm because we will need the extra slack during the next step. Okay, during the second step, we pivot 90 degrees towards our anchor side so that we are now in wall plane. We then raise our lead elbow and bend the anchor side of our body towards the ground so that the dart travels towards our anchor side. We hook our anchor elbow under the rope so that it is resting on top of our bent anchor arm, like this. Finally, during the third step, we pivot towards our anchor side into wheel plane and swing the rope so that it rotates around our anchor elbow. Now we can perform a backwards elbow shot with our anchor arm. This might take a bit of getting used to, since we have so far only learned to do elbow shots with the lead side of our arm during this tutorial series. As we shoot the dart out, we pivot another 90 degrees towards our anchor side and end in wall plane. Let's watch that whole sequence again in real time. Okay, that is the end of my introduction into understanding the dark plane. There are so many combos and sequences waiting to be explored, so I hope that this can serve as inspiration for a lot of innovation. If you liked the anchor dominant grip entrance, I have a chapter on it in my complete online course called The Guide to Becoming a Graceful Rope Dartist. I am also creating some sequence tutorials that feature the dark plane, and those will be available this month on my Patreon page. The links are in the description. Thanks so much for watching, and let me know if you have any questions. Love you guys!